Tonight, a hit to locals living with a disability as delays hold up the NDIS rollout. And is Whyalla prepared for a business boost once the Arium sale goes through?
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening, but first tonight, police were out in force over the weekend detecting alcohol and drug-affected drivers. 475 motorists were pulled over for random breath tests on the Augusta Highway. Though for the most part drivers were doing the right thing, one driver returned a positive reading for alcohol while 4 others tested positive to drugs.
It wasn't the start to the long weekend police were hoping for. The RBT stationed in Warnertown on Friday night caught one drunk driver who had a sober driver sitting in the passenger seat and 3 children in the back seat.
One was reported for being over the limit, a blue .094.
Another 20 drivers were tested for drugs.
4 of those people returned a positive reading, 3 of them for methamphetamine and 1 for cannabis.
The amount of high drivers on our roads is extremely worrying.
It's a busy time on the road due to the holiday long weekend, and to think that the small number of people that we did test, 4 out of 20 returned positive tests to drugs, is very concerning.
Police are disappointed motorists put their own lives and others at risk by getting behind the wheel when under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
It's always disappointing when we run these operations to detect that many affected drivers on our road.
In Broken Hill, 42 drivers were charged with speeding offences and 2 were charged for not wearing a seatbelt. One motorist was caught in possession of 28 kilograms of cannabis during a separate random breath test.
Drivers are reminded these factors may contribute to a fatal crash on country roads, and motorists are urged to obey the road rules and have some common sense.
Luckily, there were no fatalities on our region's roads over the weekend.
It was pleasing results overall from the weekend because we had no serious crashes on the roads in our LSA, which is a big bonus and something we're very pleased about.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Those waiting on access to the National Disability Insurance Scheme in the region could be waiting longer after it was announced the NDIS rollout is behind schedule across South Australia. The Dignity Party's Kelly Vincent visited Port Augusta amid concerns to the delays, which could affect adults expecting to access the scheme later this year.
Those waiting to receive NDIS funding could be waiting longer after the National Disability Insurance Agency announced they're experiencing delays. And prominent disability advocate and Upper House MP Kelly Vincent says she's concerned it could affect adults in the region.
Ultimately, I think the concern is that people with disabilities have really been waiting decades for a scheme like the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Many of us go without adequate funding for support that we need, even to have enough showers per week, get up and dressed in the morning. Some of us have no support whatsoever.
The CEO of the NDIS has said full implementation of the plan may take longer because of the need to retrain existing staff. This wait leaving adults in the region concerned their share of the scheme could be delayed.
And if the agency itself is not clear on these rules, and given the size of this massive reform, how are people with disabilities and taxpayers all over the state supposed to get a clear idea of what they're eligible for, what they can get and where their money is going?
One local parent says the NDIS has been important for her daughter.
And we would have to travel to take her to those sessions and pay for it out of our pocket, and with NDIS we get weekly speech therapy sessions for her.
Miss Vincent says the scheme is set to roll out for adults in the Mid-North by October and from January the 1st next year for those in Port Augusta.
And that's going to happen region by region, so people can easily find out when their region at this point is scheduled to roll onto the scheme by looking at the NDIS website.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Whyalla's Chamber of Commerce says business confidence should slowly rise once the sale of Arium is completed. It says recent activity has been patchy as the town waits to find out who'll take over the company's Whyalla operations.
Running a business in Whyalla has been a tough gig, as Arium's declining fortunes force changes to spending habits. Many businesses have been lost, while others have faced major drops in annual turnover. With the sale fast approaching, the Whyalla Chamber of Commerce says consumer activity has been patchy.
The people that I talk to say that they are holding on to it. They're very selective with what they buy nowadays. They're very cautious about how much money they put back in.
And Mr Hayes says the sale of Arium won't bring an immediate upturn in consumer confidence.
We don't think for 1 minute that the minute the announcement has been made that everybody will come back out and spend money. That will be a gradual incline.
But as the economy starts to turn, Mr Hayes says businesses need to be in a position to capitalise on consumer confidence.
Service is of the utmost. Choice of products is also high on the agenda as well, so that we are engaging customers, trying to provide what they require.
And he's also calling on all levels of government to help map out a plan for Whylla's future, saying Whylla can't continue to run on a boom-bust cycle, with diversification needed.
Need to be very, very focused on where Whyalla is going in the future and have a very clear plan to move ahead.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A 19-year-old Broken Hill man has fronted court charged with 3 counts of assault. Police arrested the man yesterday following investigations into a number of assaults which allegedly occurred on Sunday. He was charged with 3 counts of assault and then was refused bail. Whyalla residents woke up to their view of town being severely restricted with fog blanketing the city this morning. The cold conditions overnight created the perfect atmosphere for fog as Whyalla went missing. Drivers were forced to slow down as visibility was reduced to under 500 metres. Local landmarks were covered up during the Pea Super, while residents on their morning walks were forced to take extra care. The fog began clearing up by 9 o'clock, with Whyalla then treated to a fine and sunny day. Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, a funding injection for palliative care services in the Silver City as part of a statewide boost. The details ahead. Welcome back. Broken Hill could soon benefit from a major funding boost for palliative care services across New South Wales. More training for nurses and 300 scholarships for regional staff are some of the features in the $100 million package.
Last month, Broken Hill hosted a palliative care roundtable to discuss the service's needs for the future. In the New South Wales state budget to be released next week, it looks like the service's voice has been heard.
$100 million has been allocated to palliative care services across New South Wales over 4 years. So palliative care services are rejoicing at that announcement.
The budget includes $2.4 million for 6 additional specialists in rural and remote areas and training for nurses and allied health staff.
There are scholarships available for 300 nurses and allied health staff to undertake training in palliative care. We don't know the specific details of that yet, but will actually enhance and increase the capacity of both generalist and specialist palliative care providers.
30 more nurses will also be employed in hospitals, homes and nursing homes across the state. Further developing palliative care services to meet community expectations and need is also a focus. At last month's roundtable, those attending identified workforce capacity and more beds for palliative care services as 2 key areas of improvement. While more employment of nurses and the scholarships are very welcomed, beds remain as an outlier.
That doesn't seem to be reflected at this point, but we'll know further details about the budget release, within the next week or so.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Supermarket giant Aldi has suspended construction at the Port Pirie site, which is planned to house its newest store. Local media reports rumours of soil contamination and disputes between developers has caused the delay. The multi-million-dollar store was supposed to be built on Wandera Road, but this has now been put on hold for the time being. A spokesperson for the company says they've confirmed at this stage work has been suspended at the site. There are also reports the Aldi project in Kadina involving the same contractor has also come to a halt. Eyre Peninsula Police will stage an online community forum this Thursday in hopes of receiving further public feedback. The Facebook forum is the first of its kind for EP residents to have a live conversation and learn about current issues happening in the region. Here's Jason with this week's Police Talk.
South Australian Police are connecting with people in the region like never before. This time we are using the Facebook streaming method, so it is the first time that we've used this on air in Western, so we are looking forward to calls coming in between 6:30 and 7:30 on this Thursday night.
The local police are urging anyone with questions or information about what's happening locally on the EP to have their say.
It's not often that you get your local commander sitting on a panel where he can answer questions along with other police. So look, do get involved. If you do have any concerns or you'd like to see something more in your community, please ring up and have a discussion with us.
Meantime, the long weekend safety messages seem to be working. After a couple of devastating years on local roads, Port Lincoln Police are delighted people are taking care.
Crowd behaviour was really good. Road behaviour was even better. We didn't have a great deal of reports for drink driving or any of those sort of issues. Also our hotels, obviously the crowds there were well behaved and we didn't have police attending to many of those either. So all round it was a successful weekend.
And Major Crime is continuing to seek help regarding Susan Goodwin and believes they're close to a breakthrough.
We have had lots of information come in regards to Susan Goodwin. Obviously, if anybody out there does know anything, we are asking that you call Crime Stoppers.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Construction of a new hangar at Broken Hill's Royal Flying Doctors Service Base is well and truly underway. When completed, the new state-of-the-art centre will be able to store up to 4 aircraft at once.
The Flying Doctors' new hangar is rapidly taking shape, with footing and framework already laid and installed.
We probably started planning this about 18 months ago, based on the fact that we have that need for the brand new hangar, and to update our engineering needs to meet our demand for our service.
The hangar has been long awaited, with the heritage-listed McArdle hangar bearing the brunt of service for almost 80 years. Once the new hangar is complete, discussions will be held about turning the McArdle hangar into a new feature of the local bases tour.
Plans are yet to be finalised for the heritage hangar, but tourism and our health needs will also be factored into the total equation for the old hangar.
Heavy maintenance on aircraft will be carried out in the new facility, while the older hangar houses the operational aircraft.
It will be a state-of-the-art facility which will allow us to maintain all of our aircraft.
The new hangar will be just up the tarmac from the current one and will be completed by the end of the year.
We're expecting to move in approximately September this year and opening and ready for business basically in October.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. When we return after the break, all the action from a big long weekend of local footy across the EP. The details ahead. Welcome back to Sports News now, and after what's been a busy long weekend, the Eyre Peninsula's biggest footy tournament, the 2017 Mortlock Shield, was held. The hotly contested carnival came down to a thrilling conclusion, Lincoln City holding on to win. Our reporter Jason Kemp is at the Oval for the wrap-up. He joins us now. Jace, how did the weekend unfold?
Team Centenary Oval might look empty now, but there wasn't an empty seat in the house during the weekend's Mortlock Shield. The carnival got off to a flying start, Far West taking care of this year's new team, Far North, by 33 points. All eyes then shifted to arguably the game of the tournament, Lincoln City taking on Midwest. It was a close affair, but inaccuracy in front of goals cost Midwest, Lincoln City hanging on by 2 points. Many predicted the powerhouse team of the EP Sharks with AFL ring-ins Lindsay Thomas and Sean Burgoyne would be the team to beat, but Great Flinders quickly silenced onlookers, defeating the Sharks by 23 points in their opening game. In the upset of Saturday afternoon, Lincoln District came from behind to beat the reigning champions Eastern Air by 21 points. The competition kicked off again on Monday with the EP Sharks taking the ascendancy over Far North. Coach and AFL star Sean Burgoyne thrilled with his team's 56-point performance.
It's quite a different feeling to come back as a potential coach and help the boys out. They're playing pretty well today, so if I coach one game, they get one win, I'll be pretty happy.
It all came down to the last 2 games. Great Flinders throwing everything against Far West to hold on by 3 points. Xavier Watson proved the difference, taking out the Carnival medal. While in a thrilling finish, it was Lincoln City who steamrolled Lincoln District by 36 points to win both games and take out the Shield for 2017. So a big weekend done and dusted for another year. Lincoln City taking home the points, the Shield and the bragging rights for the region. Meanwhile, the big weekend in Whyalla saw the top local players taking on the best players from the SGL. John Hunt joins us now. John, not quite the result the local boys were looking for.
It certainly wasn't, Jason. In fact, it was a horror show, with the understrength wireless side flogged by a ruthless Spencer Gulf on Saturday. The SGL not only had a 30-goal win, but cracked the 200-point mark in a rout at Bennett Oval. Annihilated by squad withdrawals, it was a case of Wireless boys against Spencer Gulf's men. Spencer Gulf scored a century of points by half-time and continued on with the job into the second half, turning the contest into a training drill. Wireless young squad tried hard all day, but they were no match for a more experienced side. The SGL's Nick Connor was best on ground in the 179-point demolition, as Wireless continues its struggles in interleague football. SGL coach Cameron Redden says he was happy with the way his team played, despite an understrength Whyalla.
The few things we did say they did to a T, and it came off really well. I think it was probably the best balanced side we've had for quite a while.
It was a better day for Whyall's junior sides, with the under-18s scoring a hard-fought 24-point win, while Spencer Gulf won the 15s. Now, it was a busy weekend for the other footy too in Whyalla, with the city playing host to the State Junior Country Championships. 46 teams from 11 associations took part across 3 days, with the future stars of the game giving it their all. Whyall's under-16s won their division undefeated, with strong showings from their under-12s and under-14s. Port Perry had 3 third-place finishes, while their under-15s were runners-up in their group. Broken Hill's 2 teams finished mid-table, while Port Lincoln's under-16 squad finished in 6th position. And Netball SA held its country championships in Adelaide over the long weekend, with our region producing some strong results. Port Lincoln and Eastern Air contested the under-17 Div 2 final, with Lincoln winning 26-20, while a senior team made it to the preliminary final, losing to eventual runners-up Great Southern. Port Lincoln's under-15s made the Div 2 grand final, but fell short to Kangaroo Island in the decider. Port Augusta were runners-up in the under-13s Division 1, while Eastern Air made the semis in Division 2. So a big weekend of representative sport across our region. Congratulations to everyone selected. It's a real honour to represent your town. Club sport returns this weekend again and we'll be all over it. But for now, it's back to you, Tim.
Good stuff. It was a busy weekend, wasn't it? Thanks for that, John, and to Jace as well. We'll stay with us after the break, a check of how your local weather is panning out for the next couple of days. Welcome back. Well, as we saw earlier, it was a bit of a brisk start this morning, and Whyalla in particular copped some of that fog. It did all clear to a fairly fine and sunny day, however, with sunny conditions across the region. 19 in Port Augusta and Port Lincoln, Whyalla and Port Pirie on 18, Broken Hill 16 today. On the national satellites, some patchy cloud is set to move across over the next few days as a high draws it easterly. Out on the waters tomorrow, the winds up to 10 knots and mainly to the north, the seas to a metre and a southerly, sunrise just after 20 past 7. So much more of the same into tomorrow. 19 the expected top for Port Augusta, Whyalla and for Port Pirie as well. Port Lincoln getting to 20. 19 also on the way in Broken Hill. Some cloud about on Thursday with a top of 20, then fine and 19 on Friday in Port Lincoln. Cleve 18, then 19 and 18 I should say, with a cloudy end to the week. Woodnor 20 in both days, looking at overcast conditions. Whyalla also with cloud about 18 for Thursday and on Friday, much the same for Kadina as well. Port Augusta with 19 both days and also seeing that cloud ahead of a sunny start to the weekend. Port Pirie with a cloudy 18 for Thursday, then a fine 19 on Friday, 16 both days in Clare. Broken Hill with a fine 19 for Thursday and then a cloudy 17 on Friday. And that is the local news for this Tuesday evening. Hope you had a great weekend, a great long weekend, especially if you had it off like we did. Don't forget, as always, you can stay up to date with us on Facebook and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield from the team here at Southern Cross News. Have a good evening. Good night.